Je vais de suite donner la parole au professeur Robinson, qui est le Chaire Emeritus de la Chaire Normandie pour la paix. Bienvenue, professeur Robinson. Vous nous parlez en direct depuis New York. Alors, on a plein de problèmes techniques depuis le début, mais le bon côté des choses, c'est qu'on peut être réunis en même temps le Brésil, Paris, New York et les Philippines. Tony nous regarde avec toute sa bienveillance. La parole est à vous, cher professeur Robinson. Vous pouvez parler en anglais et les personnes qui souhaitent passer en chaîne française peuvent suivre en anglais ou en français. C'est à vous, professeur.
Merci beaucoup, Emily. Je suis très heureuse d'être ici avec tous mes amis en réalité virtuelle. Et ce jour, la journée des droits de l'homme. So I will speak about a good story, and I want to congratulate the Normandy Chair for Peace and Emily and the work that she has done because really the Normandy Chair for Peace is creating a good story, and Emily, your work on future generations is creating a good story. I will speak about human rights in the community of life. And the progression that we have of human rights is well known to everyone on this webinar seminar, this ceremony today. First, we have, of course, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which opened the door to codifying, if you will, an international agreement about human rights and permitting us to build on that. Before the Universal Declaration, humans were considered in international law only as a matter of humanitarian law, the question of protecting civilians in times of armed conflict and so on. Well, now we could expand the meaning of human rights. And progressively, all nations have been doing this, even though it's very contentious sometimes and complicated. We've expanded workers' rights from the work of the International Labor Organization to move into indigenous rights in Treaty number 169 of the International Labor Organization. And we've progressively developed the expression or the recognition of rights in the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. So we've been building into the larger framework of human rights, sectors of human existence, which need to be clarified and protected. We began doing that gradually in environmental law, first with the question of the right to the environment. This was before the 1992 UN conference in Rio de Janeiro. The right to the environment was contentious. It was environment and development. You had to balance the two. And then in Johannesburg at the UN Summit on Sustainable Development, the words environment and development were combined, and we had the three pillars of sustainability: economic, social, meaning social and cultural, and also environmental protection. But that anthropocentric approach has continued to evolve, and now we have the right to the environment in many constitutions around the world, and we have also the right of nature. But the right of nature, as in the Constitution of Ecuador, is set against human rights and against the right of the environment. So we're still not consolidating and integrating these thematic approaches to recognition of rights. The synthesis then has been growing because these provisions of rights don't include future generations very well. Future generations are not here to speak for themselves yet, but we are procreating rapidly. We are producing the next generation. And these human rights are the stakeholders in the
de savoir qui sont les dans ce domaine. Nous avons étendu la reconnaissance des droits lors des dernières réunions des Nations Unies, il y a des secteurs de l'humanité qui sont petit à petit reconnus. Donc, comment est-ce que nous pouvons passer à ce cadre plus large, comme Antonio l'a dit au liminaire, le travail extraordinaire que Michel Prieur a fait.
The world of human rights. We appreciate landscapes as a cultural heritage that we wish to give to future generations and conserve. And when we talk about landscapes, we're talking about the integration of humans and nature. Humans live within landscapes. And so we're moving into that next phase of the integration of human rights, which is how do we talk about the community of life itself? The great ecologist Aldo Leopold, in the work that was published just in 1949 after he died, he said, we have to develop an ethic, he called it the land ethic, to approach the community of life. He said, a thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. It is wrong when it does otherwise. Leopold said his land ethic, this approach, the land ethic, simply enlarges the boundaries of the community to include the soils, waters, plants, animals, or collectively all the land. It changes the role of Homo sapiens from conqueror of the land community to plain member and citizen of it. So what we have been doing with environmental law and its contribution to human rights law is expanding our concept of human rights beyond just a rights for humans, rather to our relationship with the community of life. And the community of life reminds us very dramatically right now that we are integrated and linked to every part of this community. The pandemic, COVID-19, has demonstrated that we have total links through zoonosis, through the biological function of zoonosis to other species. We can give diseases to animals, and animals can give diseases to humans. And therefore, we must look to the recognition that there is only one health in the world, one health in the biotic community. If we work to keep natural areas and forests, our great marine environments healthy, we will be healthy. If we intrude on protected areas, if we violate the habitat of species, we will have spillover effects and there will be another pandemic. The actuality of pandemics is very common. We forget that HIV/AIDS, it was our last big pandemic. And so we must now begin to work to broaden our understanding of biodiversity. As Antonio Benjamin said, climate change will be another one of these forces that make us integrate back into the community of life, because it is the humans that are affecting and driving climate change, and now it is coming back to impact adversely on humans. In biodiversity, something that we all are working on in the law of the environment, in the law of human rights. In biodiversity, we perhaps have a new foundation conceptually for a law of human obligations, I would say, rather than rights, where we have to help shape the future for our plants, our animals, and other humans that will come after us. The tools we have for doing this, we have developed in environmental law, but they are weak. They are tools like environmental impact assessment, tools like the landscape conservation approach, tools like protected area management, and above all, as the Normandy Chair for Peace.
Au-dessus de tout cela, lorsque comme cela a été dit et démontré, l'éducation. Nous devons faire l'alliance entre tous les secteurs des droits de l'homme, de nature, en une seule loi couvrant la vie communautaire. Et en faisant cela, nous sauvegarderons tous les membres de cette communauté de vie. Je voudrais tous vous remercier pour le privilège que vous m'avez donné de parler devant vous aujourd'hui. Et j'attends avec impatience de pouvoir continuer à travailler ensemble. Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée.